record says that when President Mwai Kibaki took over government in 2003 from the KANU regime in 2002, there weren't issues. Issues were there. But truth be told, we have a very heavy governance system in this country. And I say this because I was in this house in 2013, Honorable Speaker, when the former chair of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, the Reverend Mutava Musimi, conducted the budget, the then huge budget committee that incorporated the Finance Committee and even the Debt Committee. It was a 51-member committee. Through a process where this House, through the Budget Committee, audited the implementation of the 2010 Constitution. And those records are here for those who care to read. So don't pontificate telling us, oh, things were here, they're here now. Mwai Kibaki was at this debt level. Be honest. Tell Kenyans that the circumstances then are not the circumstances under the 2010 Constitution. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, borrowing is not a sin. It is not. And I heard the Honorable Kwenya and the Honorable Basil say the question we must be asking ourselves as leaders, is our borrowing sustainable? Are we putting our country in borrowing that we can be able to pay? Is domestic borrowing evil? No, it is not. We just need to make sure that our domestic borrowing is well balanced. And that is what I see the committee saying, that there must be a clear balance on our domestic borrowing so that it doesn't negatively affect our CBR rate and therefore cloud out the private sector from domestic borrowing. And that is why we need the alternative financing mechanisms. That is why we need securitization. Let us not demonize securitization. Because if we do not go for those alternative modes of financing, it means we go back and borrow. Is IMF loans and World Bank loans cheaper? Yes, they are. Can we access them as quickly as we'd want to be able to finance our obligations? No, we can't. That is the truth. And those of us who have served in the Budget and Appropriations Committee, those of us who have served in the Finance Committee, know this as facts. And therefore, that's why I say, when we come and pontificate here and speak to the gallery, Honorable Speaker, again, let us be leaders. Let us not just politic. Cheap politics, at the end of the day, ends up in premium tiers, Honorable Speaker. And I want to ask those who are using these processes for cheap politics, it will end up in premium tiers, Honorable Speaker. I support the recommendations of this committee, and especially even in being able to increase how much we are putting into development expenditure. Part of that development expenditure is what will come through securitization. Otherwise, we run the risk of taxing Kenyans more or borrowing more. That balance is what we need through alternative forms of financing. And so long as it's done responsibly, as the debt committee is asking us to do, so long as we balance how we borrow domestically and externally, and whether it's commercial or concessional loans, Honorable Speaker, we are good.
Honorable Njikumuya.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Allow me to stand and say the committee has done a good job in its report, and in all recommendations, they look okay. But Honorable Speaker, matters of debt and its management are matters that are of concern to every Kenyan, and no one should really have feelings when you are discussing these matters. Furthermore, there is no prescription in this House that you don't speak to the gallery. You speak in this House, within its walls, whether you speak to the gallery, but every member can speak what is in his mind. Honorable Speaker, the debt management in this country are wanting, because if the levels are 55 and we are already speaking at 70 plus, clearly something is not right. Honorable Speaker, the debt management, and I'm happy because I've seen the amendment proposed for PFM Act, are accruing and increasing day in, day out. To an extent, the unborn children are bearing or are also supposed to pay the debt in this country. Why? Because of corruption, because of unclear budgets, because of integrity issues, transparency in budget, accountability in governance. Honorable Speaker, we see empowerments every day in the State House, every day in our counties. Where are these kind of budgets coming from? Honorable Speaker, the unnecessary spending in this country is making this debt continue increasing day in, day out. When the government think of taxes, what of tax evasion? Are the big boys paying taxes or only the small boys paying taxes? This is maybe one area that is making the budget, the balance sheet not to balance, so that we go on asking for money from international aiders or others. Honorable Speaker, could the government think of focusing on matters of production, mainly innovation, tech, which can enhance employability, and which issues like manufacturer, which can also enhance issues like export? These are the areas that the 100 government political advisors in the State House should be advising the government. Honorable Speaker, how do we attract the investors in this country? When the young youths demonstrate and they are charged with issues like terrorism, what is the government telling the investors who would want to come and invest in our country? So, Honorable Speaker, all these, including the mismanagement, the corruption, the massive looting, are issues that this House should be discussing. We shouldn't really be comparing ourselves with America, with the countries like Japan, because if it is matters of production, we know how much production is in America compared to Kenya. So, Honorable Speaker, issues like housing. Housing is an avenue that should be left to investors. So when the government want to compete with investors and do things like housing, maybe that kind of money could have been used elsewhere, which would have enhanced a certain area, let's say like exploration of gas or minerals or oil in Turkana and others, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I am very happy to see one recommendation on amendment of PFM Act. But I want to ask the committee to be more candid and aggressive in this amendment. What is in my mind, Honorable Speaker, when we are giving the government sometimes an open check, and we say so long as we are not going beyond 55, we are still okay. I think we leave it and we leave a loophole. Maybe what this House and the committee should legislate and make an amendment in the PFM Act is to ask transparency. What are we borrowing such amount of money? For what project such amount of money? We put full disclosure to this House. We approve a certain amount of money that would be borrowed, knowing too well that the money is going to be spent in this area to the last penny. Matters of interest rate. These are issues that the experts should guide the government with. At times we may borrow when the interest rate is at, when the exchange rate is at 100%, then the exchange.
Half a second, please.
Half a minute.
Which cannot work, so 1 minute.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we have seen at time the exchange rate skyrocket. Maybe we borrowed at 100, at an exchange rate of even 80. And when we are paying back, we are paying at an exchange rate of 130.